Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to call the Senate Finance and Appropriations Committee to order. And clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Saslaw. Here. Senator Normant. Yes. Senator Hanger. Here. Senator Lucas.
Here.
Senator Newman. Here. Senator Ruff. Here. Senator Vogel.
Here.
Senator Barker. Here. Senator Edwards. Here. Senator Deeds. Here. Senator Locke. Senator Peterson. Here. Senator Marsden. Here. Senator Eben. Here. Senator McClellan. Senator Howe.
Here.
Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Today we're going to hear the remaining House bills that are in this committee. I also want to mention that we will not be hearing public comment on the bills as they had the opportunity for comment in the Committee of Origin. We're going to attempt to have several blocks of bills this afternoon, similar to what we do in the regular session. If a committee member or patron objects to a bill being in the block, please request to have it removed. I'm now going to ask April to quickly summarize each bill in the first block, and that block is House bills that are identical to Senate bills.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The first bill that would be in that block is House Bill 5043, Delegate Bourne's bill. This has to do with the Mental Health Awareness Response and Community Understanding Services Alert System and the establishment of that system. It is identical to Senate Bill 5038, Senator McPike's bill, as it passed the Senate. That fiscal impact of the bill is indeterminate. However, as we'll report tomorrow, there are some impacts that have been budgeted in the Senate budget plan, possibly, and then there will be local impacts as well. Crisis services would still be funded as part of STEP Virginia initiative. This bill requires DCJS and the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Services to support the development and establishment in every locality by July 1, 2022, a mental health awareness response system. The localities shall also by July 1, 2021, create a database through the 911 system to provide voluntary information about individuals with behavioral issues that are available to law enforcement. Department of Behavioral Health is directed to develop a continuum of crisis services with funding appropriated for that purpose. And DCGS and the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Services have to develop a written plan by July 1, 2021. That's the first bill. The next bill, Madam Chair, is House Bill 5050. This is Delegate Helmer's bill related to the powers and duties of the governor under the Emergency Services and Disaster Law, specifically related to the purchase of PPE. This is identical to Senate Bill 5039. Senator Marsden's bill, which passed the Senate. The Department of Emergency Management indicates that it would need 3 positions to administer the program, and it has some costs. Staff have made notes in the Senate budget plan related to that. Grants authority to the governor during a state of emergency related to a disaster caused by the communicable disease, public health threat, etc., to purchase and distribute PPE to private and non-governmental entities. And upon prior to making the purchase, the governor must ensure that costs will be reimbursed or funded by the federal government, and if funded at least in part by the private entity. A contractual agreement with the entity for the recovery of the costs has to be in place prior to the purchase. The next bill is House Bill 5055. That's Delegate Herring's bill. This has to do with the establishment of law enforcement civilian review panels and requiring localities to do that. It is now identical to Senate Bill 5035, Senator Hashmi's bill, and there is no state fiscal impact. The bill authorizes localities to establish law enforcement civilian review boards. There could be an indeterminate cost to localities who choose to implement this. The introduced budget had some funding, but it is not required under the fiscal impact statement for the bill. Moving on to the next bill, House Bill 5146. This is also Delegate Herring's bill. This has to do with the automatic expungement for certain convictions. This bill is now identical to Senate Bill 5043, Senator Deeds' bill. The fiscal impact, there is no fiscal impact in fiscal 2021. However, there's an indeterminate impact in fiscal 2022 and following years. And there's a range of about 1.5 to almost 3 million ongoing. The bill allows for the petition for expungement of records related to certain conviction for misdemeanors and certain felonies if simple pardon has been granted under certain conditions. And I won't list those out as they're in the committee members' briefing packet. It also creates a fund to receive expungement fees to pay court-appointed counsel, and it eliminates court costs for persons under 21, removes a 5-year waiting period for certain crimes for a person under 21, and makes expungement fees non-refundable. But that is waived for a person if they're indigent or represented by court-appointed counsel or a public defender if they petition within 12 months of the disposition. The bill has a delayed effective date of January 2021. The next bill is 5058. Delegate Hope's bill. This relates to issuing citations, et cetera, related to marijuana and certain other traffic offenses. This bill is now identical to Senate Bill 5029, Senator Lucas's bill, which was reported in the Senate. The bills have both been amended in the other body and now are identical to avoid conference. There is minimal indeterminate fiscal impact. The bill prohibits law enforcement officers from stopping a person on the basis of certain violations without other reasons, and prohibits the admissibility of evidence obtained as a result of that stop from such things as the odor of marijuana, jaywalking, operating a motor vehicle with defective lights, illegal tint, and improper use of seatbelts, and others. Moving on to the next bill, House Bill 5072. This is Delegate Lopez's bill. This has to do with the Attorney General being authorized to file civil suit or inquire about unlawful practices related to law enforcement. This bill is identical to Senate Bill 5024, Senator Lucas's bill, and it does have a fiscal impact of almost $115,000 in the first year and about $230,000 in the second year, as it requires 2 positions at the Office of the Attorney General and including an attorney and a paralegal position. It essentially authorizes the Attorney General to file a civil suit and inquire into or seek and conciliate any unlawful practice or pattern of conduct by law enforcement officers of the Commonwealth. The next bill, House Bill 5062, is Delegate Mullins' bill. This relates to the dismissal of a Commonwealth's motion on criminal charges. It's currently identical to Senate Bill 5033. It has an indeterminate fiscal impact to the courts and the Virginia State Policing for staffing related to increased expungements. I did have a note, Madam Chair, that this was possibly one that had might have a substitute and might be requested to be out of the block.
My understanding is that there is a substitute, so let's take it out of the block.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, Madam Chair, the next bill, House Bill 5148, is Delegate Scott's bill. This has to do with earned sentence credits from the Department of Corrections. It's currently identical to Senate Bill 5034, Senator Boysko's bill, as it passed the Senate and has some identical provisions of Senate Bill 1518, Senator Bell's bill as well. It does have a fiscal impact, at least $1 million in the first year. There's an additional FIS that has some additional costs related to that. This provides eligibility for conditional medical release by the parole board for terminally ill or felon offenders and other convictions of a Class 1 felony or first or second degree murder without the need to petition the board. It eliminates the need to petition the board for eligible offenders under existing geriatric release provisions. It does establish a 4-level classification system that can be retroactively applied to the sentence for earned sentence credits with a maximum of 15 days for every 30 days served at level 1. And that goes on. It does have a delayed enactment date of July 1, 2022, and requires DOC to report on the state fiscal impact, including potential cost savings, and a detailed 6-year plan describing the estimated releases by facility. It also requires the Department of Corrections to annually report on recidivism and the persons released under the bill starting on July 1, 2023. And Madam Chair, that is the first block of bills.
Okay, so we have those bills in this block with the exception of House Bill 5062. Do any members wish to take a bill out of the block?
Madam Chair,
Senator Hanger.
This block is a little bit different than the blocks we normally have. It seems like there were a number of bills in there that several of the members voted against, and I'm a little bit confused now in terms of having to vote against the whole block.
This block is blocks or bills that are identical to Senate bills that passed.
They passed, but there was opposition, so I
Yes,
guess my
that's why
recourse
if you
is vote
want to
against all
take,
of them. Okay.
if you want to take them out of the block, you certainly can.
I think there was one in that block that I actually voted for.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Senator Newman.
the only ones that I didn't want to take out of the block are 5050, 5062, and 5146. Others might want those out of the block, but those are the only ones that I think might stay in the block.
All right. Would you mind doing it the other way around?
Sure.
And tell us which
Madam
ones
Chair,
you
I'll
want
move-
out of the block.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I move that 5043, 5055, 5058, 5072, and 5148 be removed from the block.
Okay. Those bills are out of the block, which leaves a rather anemic block. I believe there are 2 bills in the block at this point.
Madam Chairman.
House Bill 5050 and House Bill 5146. Is that correct? Yes.
Is
Yes,
5146 in or out of the block?
It's in the block.
5146.
That can be taken out of the block also.
So no block.
Yes, it can. So now we have 1 bill in the block.
Yeah. I knew there was one bill I wanted to vote for.
Oh.
Madam
No,
Chair,
50
5062 had already come out.
It's already out of the block. All right. Okay, no problem.
So which one we go vote on?
Okay, so I believe the motion would be that we need is to report House Bill 5050. It's been moved and seconded that House Bill 5050 be agreed to. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anybody against? Okay. We have 1 reported bill in our non-controversial block. Okay, so next will be House Bill 5043. I thought I heard someone, but I'm not sure. Okay.
Sound like a drone.
Okay. Could I have a motion that we adopt House Bill 5043? It's been moved and seconded. House Bill 5043 be, what's the word I'm looking for? Reported. Thank you. All in favor say aye. Opposed?
No.
Could you just record your noes? There are 2 noes. Okay, next up is House Bill 5055. It's been moved. Is there a second that it be reported? Moved and seconded that House Bill 5055 be reported. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, record your noes.
No.
There are 3 noes. Please record those.
I'm not sure about Senator Vogel.
Oh, I didn't. Senator Vogel, did you vote on that?
Is she on?
Senator Vogel? Let's not record her. The next bill is Senate Bill 5146. Could I have a motion on that? It's been moved and seconded that 5146 be reported. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
No, any noes? No. There are
3 noes.
4 noes.
Four
Is
noes.
Senator Vogel on?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes. Are you a yes or an aye or a no on reporting that bill? 5146.
5146 is a no.
Okay. No, not by
Oh,
us.
no, I'm sorry. That's a yes. I apologize. That's a yes.
Okay.
Sorry. I've been having a hard time with my phone in case that is not obvious. I'm so sorry.
No problem. Okay, so House Bill 5146 is reported. The next bill that's out of the block is House Bill 5058. It's been moved and seconded. Is there a second? That the bill be reported. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Record your noes, please.
No.
11 ayes, 5 nays.
11 ayes, 5 nays. The bill's reported. The next bill is House Bill 5072. It's been moved. Is there a second that it be reported? And seconded that House Bill 5072 be reported. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And record your noes.
No.
Okay.
11 ayes, 5 nays.
11 ayes, 5 nays. The bill's reported. The next bill is Delegate Mullins' bill, House Bill 5062. I understand you have a substitute?
Yes, Madam Chair, may I speak to the substitute?
Yes, let's first have a motion to adopt the substitute. It's been moved and seconded the substitute be adopted. All in favor, please say aye. 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 Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Yes, now delegate.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's good to see you, even if it's just virtually. So the substitute is an agreement between myself and Senator Surville about being able to combine our two bills. I think that we finally have peace in the valley, and counsel for the Senate, Mr. Quagliato, might be able to explain a little bit better than I ever could the differences from the bill as introduced. But I do believe that this is something that will not be controversial within the body any further.
Okay. Charles, did you want to add anything?
Not really, Madam Chair. Delegate Mullen explained basically the purpose of the bill. The two differences I would say was Senator Surville's bill dealt with the definition of good cause in the no pros statute. Delegate Mullen's bill deals with the statute regarding the Commonwealth's dismissal. It gets at the same issue exactly with the intent of, I think, both patrons, just in slightly different manners. So that's what I would say.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions on the substitute? Okay, is there a motion on the bill? It's been moved and seconded that the bill be reported. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposition? Okay, that bill is reported unanimously.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's good to see you, even if it's just over video.
Good to see you too. Well, so far I don't. There you are. Next is House Bill 5148. Is there a motion on the bill? It's been moved and seconded that it be reported. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Okay. I believe it's 11 to 5.
Madam Chair.
Senator Vogel.
Never mind.
Did somebody?
I'm sorry. This is the same, coming out of rehab, is the same version as we had on Senator Boysko's? Yes?
Yes. Yes, it's the same. Okay, now we will
Madam
get...
Chair, I'd
Yes.
like to be an aye on that bill.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
That's
Sorry.
okay.
12-4.
Okay, so it's 12-4. All right. Now, we were going to have another block, but that seems kind of pointless. Okay. So, but the next bills we're going to take up are the bills that have similar or identical provisions to Senator Locke's bill, Senate Bill 5030. So that's what this group is. It's the various House pieces of our more omnibus bill. Okay, so the first one is House Bill 5099, Delegate Aird's bill. I believe there may be a substitute. No substitute? Okay. Is there a motion on this bill? It's been moved and seconded that House Bill 5099 be reported.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Senator Peterson.
and I apologize, this will be the first and last time I ask this question. When we pass these bills, they are in the same form, the text is in the same form, and it's the same code sections as what was in Senator Locke's bill, so it will match up with what we passed. It's just split up into various bills.
I believe that's true. These came to us from Judiciary, and I believe that's what
Madam
they
Chair,
did.
it's my understanding that these bills were synced up perfectly with Senator Locke's bill.
Right. I would just, that's important because these are important code sections, so I want to make sure that we've got the same language here.
Madam Chair, I would be happy to, if you'd like me to summarize quickly that set of bills.
All right. That would be
I could
good.
do that. Okay, thank you. This first one, House Bill 5099, Delegate Aird's bill, it's the no-knock search warrant, and it is has a zero fiscal impact, and it is related to portions of Senate Bill 5030, and there was a proposed sub, but that has been withdrawn. The next one, House Bill 5069, Delegate Carol Foy's bill, has to do with the prohibition on the use of neck restraints. It is identical to...
April, I'm
Yes, ma'am.
thinking that since we are not doing them in a block, perhaps
You
we
just
should
pause.
vote. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So is there a motion on House Bill 5099? It's been moved and seconded that House Bill 5099 be reported. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, record your nose.
3, 4.
No.
Okay.
Five.
So it's 11 to 5.
Okay.
Okay, the next bill in this non-block is House Bill 5069. April?
Yes, Madam Chair. This is Delegate Carol Foy's bill. This has to do with the prohibition on the use of neck restraints by law enforcement officers, Class 6 felony. It is identical to part of Senate Bill 5030, Senator Locke's bill, and prohibits the use of those restraints.
Is there a motion on the bill? It's been moved and seconded that House Bill 5069 be reported. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
1, 2, 3, 4, and maybe Vogel.
Senator Vogel, did you want to
No.
vote?
No.
No, okay.
No.
5 nays.
Okay. The bill's reported 11 to 5. The next bill is House Bill 5045.
Madam Chair, House Bill 5045 is Delegate Delaney's bill. This one has to do with the carnal knowledge related to inmates, parolees, probationers, detainees, etc. This one is similar to Senate Bill 5030, Senator Locke's bill, but according to counsel Charles Quagliato, it has improved language, so I would ask him to speak to that briefly.
Okay, Charles?
Madam Chair, the Judicial Committee had a substitute for Delegate Delaney's bill. The Senate version of Senate Bill 5030 had the word arrestee, and then we've changed it to a person who's been detained or arrested by a law enforcement officer. So the improved language covers both arrestees and persons who have been detained by law enforcement officers. So it is slightly different, but this is what reported out of Judiciary.
And it was, I'm sorry, I may have missed a step here. The Judiciary has already made the amendment?
Correct.
Okay. So it's been moved that it be reported. Is there a second? Moved and seconded. All in favor of House Bill 5045, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we got a unanimous. Okay. The next bill is House Bill 5108. April?
Madam Chair, this is Delegate Guzman's bill. This relates to the change in membership of responsibilities of the Criminal Justice Services Board's Committee on Training. This one is identical to that part of Senate Bill 5030, Senator Locke's bill, and essentially changes the membership by numbers and who's represented on there.
Is there a motion on this bill? It's been moved and seconded that House Bill 5108 be reported. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Is there any opposition?
1, 2, 3.
Cordial noes.
Senator Vogel.
Senator Vogel, we can't see you. Did we lose you altogether? 5108?
Still on mute.
Are you on mute?
I'm unmuted now. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
I apologize. No.
Okay. So that would be 16-5. It's reported. House Bill 5049.
Madam Chair, this is Delegate Helmer's bill related to the acquisition and use of military property by law enforcement agencies. It is identical to that part of Senate Bill 5030 and just it prohibits law enforcement agencies from acquiring tracked armored vehicles, weaponized aircrafts, and certain firearms and ammunition, etc.
It's been moved and seconded that House Bill 5049 be reported. All in favor say aye. 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 Any opposed?
2, 3, 4.
No.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
11-5, it's
Sorry.
reported. This is getting a little bit repetitious. Let's see, House Bill 5109. April?
Madam Chair, this is Delegate Hope's bill related to law enforcement officer training and qualifications, and that the Department of Criminal Justice Services is required to develop uniform curriculum and plans. It does have a fiscal impact, but it is conformed and identical to that part of Senate Bill 5030, Senator Locke's bill.
It's been moved and seconded that House Bill 5109 be reported. All in favor say aye. Okay. Any opposed? Ha! Any opposed? No. Okay, that one's unanimous. House Bill 5029, Delegate McQuinn's bill.
Madam Chair, this one has to do with the failure to intervene in an unlawful use of excessive force by law enforcement officers. It has been conformed already to Senate Bill 5030, Senator Locke's bill, and it is identical to her bill at this point.
It's been moved, and is there a second? And seconded that House Bill 5029 be reported. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Record your noes.
2, 3.
No.
4.
I'm sorry, I missed it. Oh, okay. So what was the vote on that one, Hobie? 12 ayes, 4 nays. The next bill is House Bill 5104, Delegate Price's bill.
Madam Chair, this one has to do with the minimum qualifications and disclosure of certain information for law enforcement officers, sheriffs, etc. That one has been conformed to Senator Locke's bill prior to arriving here, so it is now identical to that bill, and essentially it requires the hiring agency upon certain conditions of employment, etc. And the other part of that is that it allows the hiring agency to require the psychological examination.
It's been moved and seconded that House Bill 5104 be reported. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? One no, I believe. And the last in this non-block block is House Bill 5051, Delegate Simon's bill.
Madam Chair, this bill has to do with the notice to the Criminal Justice Services Board of misconduct by law enforcement officers or jail officers. This one has been conformed already to Senator Locke's bill, Senate Bill 5030, and is therefore identical.
It's been moved and seconded that House Bill 5051 be reported. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? That one's unanimous. Okay. Okay, now we have, I believe, 3 other bills that are different, or we're going to hear them separately. The first is House Bill 5028, Delegate Jones's bill. This is...
Good afternoon. Oh, there you go.
I'm sorry, I was just going to say this is the same as Senator Saslow's bill, which was passed by for the day in this committee.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I would just say that it is substantially similar to Senator Saslaw's legislation. We do have teachers involved in this one as well, in addition, for the presumption of COVID under workers' compensation. But I think that might be the only difference between the two, but I'm happy to entertain any questions from the committee.
Are there any questions? Is there a motion on the bill?
Madam Chair, do we have a fiscal impact on this bill?
It's, yes, April, I believe it was close to $50 million for local governments.
Madam
Plus
Chair, Senator
teachers.
Deeds, we did get some information. There was a fiscal impact statement that ranged from up to $5.5 million for certain localities related to that. And then the actuaries from the Virginia Association of Counties had some estimates, and their estimates were for the first responder piece about 20 to 25 million, and for school board employees up to 70 million.
Madam Chair.
Goodness. Yes.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we PBI. I think everybody in this committee would like to do this, but the finance impact, not only on the state, but others and localities are so enormous that we would certainly need to take a couple months to look at it, and we can do that again sometime in January. So I respectfully move that we PBI the bill.
It's been moved and seconded that the bill be passed by indefinitely. All in favor, say aye. 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 Any opposed? The bill's passed by indefinitely. The next bill is House Bill 5098, Delegate Askew's bill. Is Delegate Askew on the line?
Yes, good afternoon, Madam Chair.
Good afternoon. Would you like to very briefly say what your bill does?
Yes, ma'am. I'll be very brief. Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the committee, HB 5098 amends the current statute concerning falsely summoning or giving false police reports to law enforcement. That if a person intentionally gives a false report as the commission of any crime, that person can be charged with a hate crime. The call would have to be based on race, religious conviction, gender, disability, gender identity, sexual orientation, color, or national origin. And they would be charged ultimately with a Class 6 felony, and that's an increase in the current code from a misdemeanor.
Thank you. My understanding is this did pass out of judiciary, and so the question before us is the $50,000 Woodrum impact, basically. Is there a motion on the bill?
Move report.
It's been moved and seconded that House Bill 5098 be reported. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any noes? There's, I believe, one no. The bill's reported. And we have...
Madam Chair.
Thank you. We have one more House bill, and that's House Bill 5068, Delegate Ayala's bill.
Hello, Madam Chair. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Could you just very briefly explain your bill?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Madam Chair. The purpose of HB 5068 is to prevent creditors from forcefully garnishing or seizing federal and state emergency aid payments given to Virginians. Throughout the process, this bill has gone through, there have been many discussions with the Virginia Bankers Association, and some of the language before getting to the committee was amended, and thus everyone, all the stakeholders are on board, and I hope it will be the will of the body to pass it.
Thank you. April, what's the fiscal impact on this?
Madam
Looks
Chair,
like
there's an
none.
indeterminate revenue impact. It's just unclear. It's very likely that it could apply to the process with the state tax when they collect amounts. However, because there wasn't any federal, we didn't
Okay.
assume anything in the forecast originally, it doesn't have a direct impact currently.
Madam Chair.
If that makes sense.
Yes, okay. Senator Peterson.
Yeah, let me, I don't know if this was discussed before, but let me point out something. Let's say you have a business that has creditors, and they may have a judgment against it, and then that business qualifies for a PPP loan, so they're sitting on, could be couple $100,000. Is this would prevent a creditor from being able to garnish those funds?
Madam Chair, this is only aimed at stimulus checks. That's it, not even tax refunds.
Okay, well.
Further question?
Yeah, I think we need to be very specific about defining if it's just stimulus checks, and maybe that's in the language of the bill right now.
Sure. I don't know if there's a member of the AG's office that could further answer your questions or inquiries here in the committee room.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Senator Peterson.
And I'm looking at where they define emergency relief payment means any payment by a local, state, or federal governing body pursuant to a law, ordinance, order, or regulation that specifically designates such payment as intended to provide economic relief due to a condition that caused a state of emergency to be declared by the governor. And again, you could have, for example, thousands of PPP payments. You know, my business got one. I'm sure a lot of us own businesses that got one. And if someone gets a judgment against us, that PPP money could be on our operating account. And effectively, you would prevent garnishments against that operating account. I guess my point is that businesses, it's one thing to have individuals. Businesses, that's a different matter, saying that they're automatically exempt from the creditor process.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, ma'am.
I was just going to ask if our staff has any comment on that.
Do you want to strike the word "or businesses" on line 85?
Madam Chair, it appears, well,
To make it only applicable.
Yeah, to individuals.
hold on.
You know, but there might be a difference between a business that consists of.
Well, you could have a sole proprietorship.
That's right. Or Westinghouse.
Madam Chair, I believe the creditor would have to claim the amount that they were withholding under the exemption from their accounts. I think the duty
creditor?
would be on the account holder to say what it applies to in the account.
Hold on, Madam Chair.
Yes, Senator Peterson.
Lisa, I don't, the creditor or the debtor?
I'm sorry, the debtor would have the duty to say what part of the account was exempt under this statute.
Okay, let me just make a point here, folks, and we need to be very clear about whether this is a stimulus payment or whether it's a PPP. There are two very different programs involving very different amounts of money. Some of these PPP payments were millions of dollars. And if a corporation has a judgment against it, I don't see any reason why somehow they should be able to hold that money separate from a legally owed obligation. I mean, I'm not in the business of protecting corporations that don't pay their bills.
If I might suggest, since this is our last meeting to hear bills, perhaps we could report this, but be aware that it may need some clarifying language amended on the floor.
Okay, I will, and I'll talk to Delegate Ayala.
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 Ayala, I'm sorry, I was working backwards.
I think the language is it's only aimed at stimulus checks, not the PPP program. So this is the stimulus checks, and I understand what you're saying, Senator. So we can talk offline after this and clarify. And if there's some additional language that needs to be amended or
I think it's actually.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty simple. I think we could just say on subpart A, this is only intended for stimulus checks. This does not include the PPP program, which is, federal statute XYZ.
Sure, and I do
that may
believe
be enough.
The big room here, a representative from the AG's office, Brittany, is online, and maybe she can help you further clarify.
She's not going to help me at all. I can do it myself, but thank you.
I'm sorry. Thank
That's
you.
all right.
Delegate Peterson, sorry, I've got you a few years ago. Senator Peterson, do you want to work on the amendment now
Yeah, no,
or on the floor?
I'll do a floor amendment. I like the bill. I like the delegate. I think it's a good idea. I think we need to be very precise, though, if we're going to exempt any amounts from creditor process. We need to make sure exactly what we're doing, and so we need to clarify it's a stimulus payment. So I'll work on a floor amendment for that.
Thank you. Is there a motion then? It's been moved the bill be reported. Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded that House Bill 5068 be reported. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? There are 2 abstentions. Okay.
2 noes.
That blissfully completes our docket for today. We will be meeting tomorrow at 11 in the morning to deal with the budget. And if there is no further business,
I think the chairwoman and the committee. Thank you.
You're welcome. We are adjourned.